Good evening. This is Good Night's Case Study Sharing, and my name is Cherry. Tonight, our topic is about Nokia. If I ask about the cell phone brands that you can think of, what are the brands that pop into your head? I think most of your answer would be Apple, Samsung, Huawei. However, back to the year of 1990s, Nokia was the world leader of cell phone manufacturers. Let's begin with the Nokia's background. It is a Finnish company with 155 years of history, established in the year of 1865. 20 years ago, they were the largest corporation in Europe by market capitalization, making net sales at nearly $20 billion with 60,000 of employees. And let's have a glance on the history of Nokia. Actually, Nokia didn't start their business as an electronics firm but a paper mill operation on day one. And then they launched the world's first international cellular network in 1981. Between the years of 1980s to 2000s, there were evolution on cell phone development, and Nokia had launched many cell phones in the market throughout the years. You can see some of their classic cell phones model here, which were very popular among the consumer at the time being. Next, let's have a brief introduction of Ericsson. Similar to Nokia, Ericsson is another cell phone manufacturer, and they were also the world's dominant supplier of mobile networks back to the year of 2000s. Ericsson is a Swedish company with long history as well, making $25 billion in net sales with over 100,000 of employees. And there was an incident happened in March 17, 2000, which impacted both Nokia and Ericsson supply chain a lot. And it was due to their key supplier, Philips. As a major chips supplier at the time, 80% sold cell phone chips used Philips chips. So, the surplus capacity was very limited.
After the introduction of the three main characters, we would like to brief you about the incident happened in this case, because in our later discussion we refer back a lot to the plot of that incident. So, for that incident, the fire that was caused by a power surge at Philips plant, that was a key supplier of semiconductor chips. At that time, both Ericsson and Nokia were using those chips for their cell phone production. In particular, both of them are about to release a new cell phone model at that time that would need those chips. So, in short, this fire has destroyed certain side of the chips, but the exact amount is unknown. And Philips claimed that it would require 1 week for them to get back to normal production. So for the reaction for Nokia and Ericsson, for Nokia, they have received this news quickly and escalated to the management so that they have set up some daily follow-up to monitor the impact. On the other hand, for Ericsson, they didn't escalate at the beginning because they regard this as a minor issue. Next, we'll take a look on the post-fire. So in the 2000 March 31st, by end of that month, Philips told Nokia and Ericsson that indeed they need 6 weeks to get back to normal instead of 1 week. And we first zoom into Nokia. They calculate the shortage immediately and form a team with different talent to take remediation action. They have engineered to investigate alternative solution. They have some sourcing expert to look for new supplier for some missing component. Also, their management trying to pressure Philips to secure inventory from other plants. So at the end, they managed to get the enough chips for them to produce the new cell phone model, and that's why they don't have any production loss. However, on the other hand, for Ericsson, by the time the management got to know about this incident that was already early April, at that point of time, any remediation plan does not work because all the chips were taken by Nokia already. So, the result for Ericsson, after they have announced this news, to their stakeholders, the stock price dropped for more than 11%. And also because of the shortage, they have to delay the launch of their first mobile phone, T36. Regarding that, there was a 400 million direct revenue loss. And so by October 2000, they lost 3% global market to Nokia. And after the end of 2000, in their annual report, there was a highlight that 1.7 billion loss attributed to the component shortage.
Before we go into detail to see what Ericsson did wrong in the incident, let me share with you some characteristics of the cell phone market to have a glance on what challenges the industry is facing. The market of high-tech products, especially cell phones, has always been competitive. Every company keeps introducing new products to the market to gain share. In Ericsson's case, the company was about to launch the first cell phone with Bluetooth. Usually, they have to compete for patent as well, so the schedule from R&D, production to product launch is really tight. Secondly, cell phone company would do pre-launch promotion in order to arouse public interest and drive demand. They spend lots of marketing effort to pave way for the new phone launch. So it's crucial for them to launch new phone on time as customers had high expectation already. Firstly, cell phone has a short product cycle, which the cell phone value would depreciate quickly when there are more and more new cell phones in the market. The problem is that a company will not launch several similar models at a time. That means there's limited choice a brand can offer to customers in a certain period. We can see that tech products tend to have lower tolerance to delay. Postponement in production or delivery could lead to huge costs. Apart from innovation, timeliness is another key factor to business success. If the new phone is not available to market when customers need it, the product would become outdated and customers will turn to the competitors for alternative. Ericsson's delay began with its low-level technician who did not share the news of Philips' fire promptly. Instead of asking why the technician not sharing the news, we would say his malpractice actually reflected a higher level mistake on the risk management in Ericsson's supply chain. Had Ericsson done anything to minimize the risk of delay in the supply chain? The answer is no. Here we summarized the key faults of Ericsson in the incident. First of all, the internal communication was ineffective. The communication within and between departments was not transparent. It just idealistically relied on a staff's judgment and willingness to tell. Obviously, there's no staff training on risk management. That's why they were not alert and being contempt for possible risk. The incident also reflects that they have laid-back company culture in Ericsson. They just sit and wait for Philips' solution without any proactive act, not to mention about any preventive measures. Lastly, they had no backup plan for its single sourcing policy. Philips was the sole provider of such an important part. Though with the advantage of cost saving, it put the company at risk when the partner underperformed. So how could Ericsson have done better in the incident? My groupmate Stanley will share with you our recommendations.
Thank you, Audrey. If Ericsson can deploy a crisis management cycle earlier, then probably we can have a different story today. In a crisis management cycle, it is mainly divided into 4 parts. The first part is the preparation, the second one is the response, the third one is the stabilization, and the last one is the recovery. So what do we need to do in a preparation part? The first thing is that we need to know the company well. Then we can perform a business impact analysis to anticipate all the risks that we are facing. Then we can decide the control, testing the control, and implement the controls. After that, we can identify all the constituents and the most effective communications tools between department and the controls. Then we can prepare the necessary measures. After that, we need to find the right person to form a response team and assign the responsibilities. In the team, we can identify the crisis manager and spokespersons. After all the control and the measure setting up, then we can perform some regular revisit and testing plan to make any adjustment and make sure that the whole plan is workable. So the second thing is that how we respond to an accident. So when an accident happens, we need to assess the whole situations and the needs that quickly. We need to ensure that the whole team covers all bases, including preventing additional damage. We need to deploy necessary personnel and identify if there are any additional measures needed. We need to prevent crisis from lingering. So these are very important, and you can see that we need to respond very quickly after an accident happens. So the third part is the stabilization. That means when the situations become more stable, then we can perform a legitimate inquiry or investigations. We need to prevent electronic client privilege and assure constituents. After the investigations, we need to deal with the wrongdoers. And those the case or the whole things is under control, or we can say it is more stable, we still need to closely monitor the whole situations and respond, assess whether additional measures are needed. So the last part will be the recovery. So in the recovery, we need to complete the whole investigations and determine how to handle the information that we collected. We need to consider if there are necessary personnel or structural changes. We need to evaluate compensations and incentives to the right parties. And we need to determine what ongoing monitoring or control that are needed. After the whole cases, we need to reconsider the whole crisis management and business plan to prevent similar crises happening in the future. And if Ericsson can have a assigned response team earlier, so it can be properly better respond to the whole cases. If an assigned response team were here, then the whole team may avoid the fire earlier. They don't just rely on the staff personnel judgment. They will be more transparent between departments, and there will be a earlier notifications to the top management. So if the top management know the case earlier, probably they can negotiate with favorites earlier, or they may source an alternative in the markets, or they can identify the additional measures that are needed. So these are all the things or all the proactive measures that they can do versus the actual situations that they seek and wait for the failure solutions.
So this part is about the communications in Nokia. Nokia can escape from the disastrous inventory loss from the incident of fire within the Philips, because of the clear channel for communications. The first factor is the risky and dangerous signals can be transmitted to the senior management shortly without bureaucracy within the organized corporation. In many countries or in some official organizations, bureaucracies already exist in this organization because of corruptions, or the management would not prefer to bear any responsibilities. The second factor is there was a close relationship and constant communications between Nokia and Philips. And this is the reason why Philips can evaluate the loss and report to Nokia about the situation in a very short period of time. Let's explore about the how happened during the fire incident. Philips fire incident was happened on the 17th of March in the year of 2000. And after a few days about the fire, a supply manager in Nokia noticed a threat about the trip inflow. which means that he has noticed there is some strange happening in the supply chain. And this message has reached the component purchasing manager shortly, and then after 3 days, the SVP of operation in Nokia has noticed this problem. After 11th day, Philips has phoned Nokia and explained the damage was worse than estimated, and this issue has been reported to the CEO level of Nokia, and they have formed a team of 30, including some very senior management or professionals to tackle these challenges. And because of the clear channel for communication, Nokia has tackled the problem in a short period of time and avoided the consequences that brought along with the Philips fire incident.
On the opposite side, you can see Ericsson rely on a single supplier. For a small company, it is reasonable because you may spend less time to build up a relationship with your supplier. So this kind of supply chain is simple. You don't need to make any resources and cost automation planning. Due to this reason, the administrative effort and the cost are low. It is also easy to streamline and integrate to other systems that the company in use. But for further development, it is not feasible, or you will encounter a huge loss in some day, just like Ericsson. Single supply creates a single point of failure. If your supplier fails, you fail. You may also miss out market opportunities such as new technologies or new materials that help improve your company. At the same time, the company will lose competitiveness by not catching up in the market trend. If we don't want this disaster to happen again, what should we do? The simplest thought is to introduce another supplier, which is multi-sourcing. But this is not an all-round solution. New suppliers encourage price competition among all providers. But if you need to build a new supply chain, it may take a long time because you may need to develop a storage, logistics flow, train up staff for new working procedure or software updates. Due to more factors and variables created, cost optimization may become complicated and take a long time to calculate. For some cases, a very high level of quality control or high engineered parts may be required in your supply chain. Then multi-sourcing may not be reliable.
I'm Ben. In this part, we'll discuss what could Nokia have done better in its dealing with Philips. Actually, it's quite similar to the risk management cycle as discussed before. There are 4 main points in this part. The first one, diversity the supplier network. And the second one, establish a crisis response team. The third one, a comprehensive contract. Finally, we'll also build a close and long-term relationship with the supplier. The first point is diversity the supplier network. As you can see in the picture, it is about not putting all the eggs in a single basket. It is to make sure it is not on a single supplier. So instead of putting all the chips with Philips, the chips could have been placed in multiple vendors. We can do that by enhancing the innovation, so different suppliers may have different products, services, and solutions. We can do it also by increasing the flexibility, so there are different ways to procure services and goods. By doing all these, we can reduce the concentration risk and also increase the bargaining power. The second point is to establish a crisis response team. In most cases, people don't know how to react well in case of emergency incident. In order to recover the business activities as soon as possible, we'll have a very clear instruction and description to recover the whole operations. So in this case, the employee and also the manager know how to react in case of emergency cases. So that's the main point of establishing a crisis response team. Philip will also discuss about the other 2 points in this part.
Hello. Besides the 2 points mentioned by Ben, we also suggest Nokia to have a comprehensive contract agreement with Philips. The contract should specify when incidents such as the fire happens, Philips has the responsibility to help Nokia to minimize loss, and it is the obligation of Philips to provide replacement or deal with other suppliers to get replenishment. Just imagine when such an agreement exists, Philips will handle the fire incident more effectively. For example, they will try to get the most accurate information before first reporting to Nokia. Also, before notifying the issue to Nokia, Philips already has to plan to find other suppliers for help in order to solve the issue. On the other hand, Nokia should develop a close and long-term relationship with Philips via regular meeting, which can monitor suppliers' daily operation and business environment. And Nokia should conduct site visits regularly as well. This allows Nokia to review Philips' existing work procedure and have quality check. It is also suggested to have regular business contingency plan testing. It is because the testing can help people to maintain an alert state and therefore rapidly react on unexpected incidents.
Okay, thank you. My name is David. Let me talk about the bubble burst. Nokia suffered in both fire disruption and also the telecom bubble burst in year 2000. However, Nokia is still stronger than other competitors like Ericsson. You can see from Nokia's stock price, it keeps higher than the Ericsson stock price. From the case of Nokia, we can conclude the importance of supply chain management. An excellent operation risk management in supply chain management can help identify potential risk. It can establish an instant internal communication channel for contingency planning. A diversified approach in supply chain management is also important. It can have a globalized way to optimize the source of suppliers. Since having multiple suppliers and vendors for critical components is important, it can also increase the bargaining power during the contract agreement period. Long-term relationship. We emphasize that having a long-term relationship with all suppliers is important. With that, we can set up a push-based system by long-term forecasts. Suppliers will have an obligation to offer replacement in contingent situation. Such a measure will help build a strategic partnership to allow site visits and also for quality assurance. These are all important points to ensure survival during difficult times.
Thank you, David. I'm Dennis. In this part, I will talk about the situation of Apple's supply chain. In this year, 2020, Apple faced the same disruption in supply chain due to the COVID-19. Similar with Nokia, Apple further adopted the following approach in supply chain management to alleviate the impact. First, better risk pooling with supplier. Apple changed the design of AirPods 3. It will use the same design of AirPods Pro. Same Outlook design allowed to use similar product components. This can make a better product pooling for the market demand and alleviate the disruption to the production line of those suppliers. Second, optimize the pool strategy in supply chain. Apple focused on the latest technology in the next year to develop the products, instead of focusing on what component can be provided by those suppliers. Therefore, Apple can make more accurate forecasts to the accurate demand of particular component for the assembly. And Apple can prepare enough inventory in advance, even under high uncertainty of market situation in this pandemic. Third, adjust the buy-make decision. Apple will design its own silicon chip for its Mac products in 2020. There will be less reliance on the supply from the Intel company. This new buy-make decision can further reduce the concentration risk for critical components in the supply chain, and it will optimize the performance of the Mac products. In conclusion, from this case study of Nokia, the response of Nokia's supply chain is very fast to any disruption. And nowadays, Apple's supply chain also learned from this previous experience. Maybe there is a delay for the iPhone 12, but we believe there should be no fatal impact for Apple's total turnover in this year. This thanks for the excellent supply chain strategy for the whole business. This is the end of our good presentation. Thank you.